There is a moment, somewhere between paying for your morning coffee and checking your bank balance before bed, when something quiet happens inside you. You don't notice it. Almost no one does. A small feeling, an invisible weight pressing against your chest. A subtle awareness that something about modern life isn't quite right. That the freedom you were promised feels strangely conditional. That the dollar you earn no longer behaves like the dollar your parents earned. You can't explain it, but you feel it. Tonight we're going to give that feeling a name, because what you're sensing isn't paranoia, it isn't exhaustion, it's a shift, a slow, almost invisible transformation of what money actually is and what it's quietly becoming. For thousands of years, money served one purpose. It stored your effort, it carried your work across time, it was a silent witness to your survival. But somewhere in the last 20 years, money began to evolve into something stranger, something that watches, something that listens, something that remembers. And the question almost no one is asking out loud is this: what happens when money stops being just money and starts becoming permission? Before we go deeper, take a second to subscribe. What you're about to hear is the kind of conversation that's slowly disappearing from the internet. Now, let's continue. Modern Americans believe they are free. They believe it because they can buy things, because they can travel, because they can tap a screen and watch the world bend slightly in their direction. Freedom, in 21st century America, has become indistinguishable from access. If you can pay, you can move. If you can pay, you can eat. If you can pay, you can exist comfortably inside the system. And for a long time, this felt like progress. We told ourselves that every dollar in our pocket was a small declaration of independence. But somewhere along the way, the pocket disappeared. The coins disappeared. The paper disappeared. And we didn't mourn any of it. We celebrated. We called it convenience. We called it the future. But here's the part nobody talks about. Every time something physical becomes digital, something private becomes visible. Think about your day. The coffee you bought this morning, someone knows. The route you took to work, someone knows. The late-night Amazon purchase you made when you couldn't sleep. Someone somewhere, in some quiet server humming inside a building you'll never see, knows. And you agreed to all of it. Not because you wanted to, but because saying no would mean stepping outside the system entirely. You didn't choose this. You inherited it. You were born into a financial architecture built long before you understood what was happening. You were handed a debit card before you understood what a bank was. You were handed a credit score before you understood that a 3-digit number, calculated by a company you've never spoken to, would silently decide where you can live and, sometimes, whether you get the job. Slowly, the definition of freedom quietly changed. Freedom used to mean, I can walk away. Now it means, I can keep paying. Look around. The young couple financing a sofa over 24 months at 29% APR. The retiree watching his savings shrink against an inflation rate the news keeps telling him isn't really that bad. These are not free people. These are people performing the rituals of freedom inside a structure that has already decided how much freedom they're allowed to have. And the strangest part? They're smiling. Because the cage is comfortable. Because the cage has Wi-Fi. Because the cage delivers in 2 days or less. The dollar in your pocket is no longer the same dollar your grandfather carried. His built a house over 30 years. Yours barely covers 1 month of property tax on that same house. And yet, nobody screams, because the erosion is slow. And slow erosion is the most dangerous kind. It's the kind you don't notice until the ground is already gone. There was a time, not so long ago, when an American could live an entire day without leaving a single trace. You could wake up, walk to a diner, pay in cash, drive somewhere quiet, and disappear for a few hours. Nobody knew where you were. Nobody knew what you bought. That kind of silence used to be ordinary. It was the background hum of being human. You weren't hiding. You were simply unobserved, and cash was the guardian of that silence. A $20 bill never asked who you were, never reported back to anyone. It passed from hand to hand like a small, unwritten secret. Cash was the last truly private conversation between you and the world, and it is dying. Not loudly, just fading from American life, the way certain words fade from a language until one day nobody remembers them. Walk into a coffee shop in Manhattan, Los Angeles, Austin. Try to pay in cash. Watch the cashier hesitate. Cards only? Mobile pay preferred? Every tap of your phone is a sentence, written in a book you can't read. Every purchase forms a portrait of you. A portrait more accurate than any photograph. A portrait that knows things you've never told another human being. Your bank knows when you're stressed. They can see it in the spending. Your bank knows when you're falling in love. They can see it in the restaurants. Your bank knows when your marriage is ending. They can see it in the hotel charges, the lawyer's retainer, the sudden change in patterns. You never told them anything. You didn't have to. You paid. And paying, in the modern world, is the most honest form of confession that exists. You are no longer a person to the financial system. You are a behavioral fingerprint, a predictable cluster of decisions. When someone can predict what you'll do before you do it, they don't need to control you. They only need to suggest, to nudge, to place the right option in front of you at the right moment. This is the new architecture of influence. It doesn't shout. It whispers. And the whisper sounds exactly like your own thoughts. If this video is making you think differently about something you took for granted, drop a comment below telling me what part hit you the hardest. And hit the like button. It tells the algorithm that conversations like this still matter. For most of human history, money was a passive thing. It sat in your hand. It waited. It didn't ask questions. It didn't have opinions. That era is ending. Because the next generation of money will not be passive. It will not be neutral. It will think. Imagine a dollar that knows where it is. A dollar that knows who's holding it. A dollar that knows what it's allowed to buy and what it isn't. A dollar that expires if you don't spend it fast enough. A dollar that can be turned off remotely by someone you've never met for a reason you may never fully understand. This is not science fiction. This is the working concept behind programmable money. China is testing it. Europe is studying it. And the Federal Reserve has openly discussed the architecture of a potential digital dollar. Not as a fantasy, but as a serious policy question. For the first time in human history, money would not simply represent value. It would represent rules. It would carry instructions inside it. A dollar that knows it cannot be spent on certain products. A dollar that knows it must be spent before the end of the month, or it disappears. A dollar that is not yours, in the way dollars used to be yours. A dollar that is more like a permission slip. And permission can be revoked. Look at what already exists. In the United States, bank accounts can be frozen without warning. A flagged transaction, an administrative error, and suddenly, a person who did nothing wrong cannot pay their rent. The money in your account is not really yours. It is yours conditionally. It is yours as long as the system agrees that it should be. Now imagine that principle extended, not to fraud prevention, but to ordinary behavior. You wouldn't need a police officer at your door. You wouldn't need a court order. The dollar itself would refuse. Politely, silently, instantly. This transaction is not permitted at this time. No explanation, no appeal. Just the soft, bureaucratic finality of a system that has already decided. Think about how easily this could begin. A stimulus payment that must be spent within 90 days to boost the economy. A subsidy that can only be used on approved products to protect consumers. Each one, in isolation, sounds almost good. Each one is a brick, and bricks, stacked patiently over years, become walls. The danger of programmable money is not what happens on day 1, it's what happens on day 3,000. It's the slow accumulation of small rules that nobody notices, until one morning you wake up in a country where money is no longer a tool of freedom, but an instrument of guidance. Every monetary system in human history has shaped the people who used it. Money has always been a teacher, a silent one, a patient one. But for the first time in history, the teacher is about to become an observer, a reactor, a gentle hand pressing against your back, steering you toward decisions that someone, somewhere, has already decided are correct. A gold coin in ancient Rome could be hoarded, hidden under a floorboard for 100 years, and still be worth something. The coin didn't care who held it. A paper bill in 1950s America was the same. You could fold it, burn it, give it to a stranger. The bill had no memory. But the next form of money will have memory. It will know where it came from. It will know where it went. Money, for the first time, will have an opinion about you. And the people who design that money will decide what that opinion is. Not maliciously. Most of them will genuinely believe they are helping. That's what makes this so unsettling. The danger doesn't come from villains. The danger comes from well-intentioned people, building tools, whose long-term consequences no one fully understands. Here is the truth that almost no one is willing to say. The next currency may not control what you own. It may control what you are allowed to do. Old money controlled wealth. New money may control behavior. Old money asked, "How much do you have?" New money may ask, "What are you doing with it?" And eventually, "Should you be allowed to?" You will no longer be a citizen with a wallet. You will be a participant in a system that grants you access, one transaction at a time. And access can be adjusted. Access can be narrowed. It is power without a face, control without a controller, a cage with no walls, no bars, no door, only conditions. You will not be told what the rules are. You will discover them by breaking them. A transaction declined, an account flagged, and you will learn, the way humans have always learned in systems of soft control, to stop trying, to stop wanting, to stop reaching for the edges, because the edges hurt. So here we are, standing at the edge of something most people cannot yet see. Not a collapse, not a revolution. Something quieter, something more patient, a slow turning of the world. The leaves are already falling. Most people just haven't looked up yet. For thousands of years, humans fought and bled over the meaning of freedom. They wrote it into constitutions. They carved it into stone. And then, somewhere in the last few decades, freedom became something else. It became a feature, something granted, not claimed, something downloaded, not inherited. We did not lose our privacy in a war. We lost it in 1,000 small conveniences, each one too minor to refuse. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you spent a single day completely unobserved by any financial system? If you can't remember, that is the story. The dollar is on the verge of becoming something it has never been before. Aware, reactive, conditional. The money of the future may not be designed to serve you. It may be designed to manage you, the way a thermostat manages a room, the way an algorithm manages a feed. And you will live inside that system the way fish live inside water, surrounded so completely by something that you forget it is even there. There is no honest solution that fits inside the final minutes of a video. What I can offer you is a question. If money becomes the thing that decides what you are allowed to do, then what does it mean anymore to be free? That kind of freedom does not die in battle. It dies in updates, in terms of service, in small green check marks that confirm you have agreed to something you will never fully understand. Maybe the most important act of awareness in your entire life is this one. The moment, right now, when you notice the cage forming around you while it is still being built. Because once it is finished, it will not feel like a cage. It will feel like the world. It will feel like the way things have always been. The story of money is not over. We are living right now through the writing of the next chapter. The pen is moving. The ink is still wet. The story is still being written. But the pages are turning faster than anyone is willing to admit. If this video gave you something to think about, leave a comment below telling me the single sentence that stayed with you the most. And hit the like button one more time. It's how these conversations survive in a world designed to bury them. The video appearing on your screen right now continues exactly where this one ends. If you felt something while watching this, you'll want to see what comes next. Stay curious. Stay awake. The story is still being written, and you are one of the few still paying attention.